Is ascension to 5D, is this going to happen in 2026? If so, I think it's possible that it will happen in 4 phases, and it will be lorded over by the god Ketu, the planet that brings liberation from the physical body. So I've been getting a lot of messages lately from my higher dimensional friends talking about things that may be coming for the earth. Now, they talk specifically to me about me. And that is generally what I find that they do. They don't make proclamations for the earth or for large groups of people. They usually talk directly to individuals. But that doesn't mean that we can't investigate how that plays out in a larger format, which is what we're going to do today. So ETs have been coming to me and telling me that my reality, internal and external reality, is going to shift very intensely, and that they are going to empower me to communicate for them even more. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of these ET channelings, which I've really been enjoying. I feel like every time I do them, I get a little bit closer to 5D. So we're going to be moving in that direction on this channel. So I am going to tell you about the 4 phases of ascension, which will probably happen in 2026, and how Ketu is going to be making that happen. But we are also going to, tonight, we're going to do a live guided CE5 meditation at 8:30. Do this every Saturday. And this is human initiated contact with extraterrestrials. And we will be seeking to invite higher dimensional beings in our physical presence, because I have found that personal connection to their higher frequency is probably the most empowering thing for our awakening, if we can handle it. And I've also started an ET channeling and interdimensional communication Zoom workshop. And for that, you would go to thunderwizard.com and look for the specific membership for the ET channeling group and subscribe to that group. Okay, don't just subscribe to thunderwizard.com. That for free. That doesn't get you anything. There's specific tiers, so look at those. All right, so we also do live ET channeling on this channel. We're not going to do that tonight. We'll see what happens, but I may channel some ETs tonight. But I'm also still doing this promotion of the 50% off channeled personal guidance from interdimensional light beings. And 50% off means that you're allowing me to video the channeling session, which I will then possibly put up on my channel as a video. All right, so let's get back to this. Ketu dissolves the 3rd dimension in 4 phases. And I picked this AI generated thumbnail on purpose. So you see that there is what looks like to be a skeleton king, and he's sitting in a throne. And there is this rainbow coming out of his crown chakra. And behind him, if you look, you can see these light beings. So it looks like spirits behind him. In his right hand, he holds a representation of his power associated with light and light beings. And in his left hand, he's holding a 5D earth. So what does all this mean? So we're entering into a phase. I've already made some videos about Ketu moving into Leo. Click in the links below. I've got links below to those videos that I've made. So we won't get into all of that. But what is going to happen is that next year, Ketu will still be in Leo, and Ketu will move into the nakshatra of Magha. Magha means the powerful one. And it represents the star of power, of the power of rulership. So this means the king, means the mighty king of the universe. Now, what's most important about Magha is you would think that, the power of the king, it's going to be the sun, right? So the sun is what rules over this. And what's very interesting is that the planet that rules over Magha is, in fact, Ketu. So I talk a lot about Ketu in the other videos. You can click on them below. But very quickly, in Vedic astrology, we have this concept of the serpent that has been split into two beings, and one of them represents the power that brings us into third dimensional attachment, and that is Rahu. And then supposedly his body or his tail represents Ketu, which is that which takes you out of the third dimension, which destroys your attachments to the third dimensional narrative. So bear in mind, we live in a three-dimensional video game. It's a virtual reality video game for the soul. Your body is the avatar, but it is a frequency. You can think of it as a computer program. It's not. It's actually a frequency that is a mental frequency. And that frequency is a specific world in and of itself. Now, in the third dimension, we think when we look out from Earth, we're looking into infinity. We're not. We're looking into a mirrored fishbowl. And in this third dimension, there are very specific rules of reality which are completely opposite to the rest of the multiverse. And what we go through is we go through the challenges of two-dimensionality, of being trapped, feeling attached. We become attached with our desires, but the thing that really attaches us is our experience of identity. We identify with things like money, prestige, reputation, love, all the stuff that we use to identify ourselves with are external. But we believe that our life really depends on these things. People off themselves over the idea of not feeling popular, not feeling loved, not feeling respected. And that, of course, is ridiculous, because the assumption is that without these external things, God doesn't love us. Two-dimensional religion teaches us that we have to follow the 10 Commandments or God will throw us out and destroy us and hate us forever. But that is a third-dimensional game. Outside of that, everything is completely opposite to that. Everything outside of the third dimension operates from the awareness that every being is consciousness and light and spirit. And all other conscious beings outside of the third dimension revere every other conscious being. So it doesn't matter if there's a deity, the most powerful deity out there, if some light being soul comes by, that deity will bow before the eternal conscious spirit within them. So you are completely loved, you are completely seen, you are completely accepted simply because you exist. And who you choose to be is completely up to you. You can decide to be anything. You can decide to manifest and incarnate anywhere you choose. That's what happens outside of Earth and outside of the third dimensional Earth. That includes all the space around Earth. When we go out into space, we're still in Earth's three-dimensional space. So there is a being who we look at it as a serpent. And what happens is that as this serpent goes through the barrier of the third dimension, the head of the serpent, that creates a portal through which the soul can choose to come into this specific reality. And then what happens is as that serpent, curves around and exits out again, it creates another hole. And so we see that, we see the tail going through. But what's happening is that, if here's the dimension, the head is here and the tail is here, but it's one being. So it looks like the tail is leaving, but the head is coming in and it's going through. And so these two nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, represent this. So where we've entered into now, and depending on which exact calculation you choose to accept, Ketu came into Leo on the 18th of May. Other beliefs say he's technically going to come into Leo the 29th of May. Doesn't matter, it's already begun. And Ketu is going to stay in the sign of Leo, which is the sign of the rulers, the kings, up until the end of December of 2026. So he's there for about a year and a half. And so this has a huge effect on the rulers of this world. So Ketu destroys corruption, lies, illusions. So that means all of the corruption and all of the illusions, there is a possibility that could be completely, totally exposed and destroyed. And we could talk, I've already made a video about Rahu and Aquarius. I'll put that in there, which also empowers what I just said. We won't get into that in this video. We want to talk about Ketu. So I believe it's April. I believe it's April of 2026. Ketu is going to enter into the nakshatra of Magha, the king. And this is his own nakshatra. So the power of the king comes from the being that completely, totally destroys anything having to do with corruption. So that means people in power now, if they are corrupt, if they have power based on anything other than complete selfless service to other people and to the gods, if there's any ruler that is connected to their power in any other way other than what I just mentioned, this force is going to seek to completely annihilate the corruption and the lies and the secrecy of their power. We could say that Ketu represents transparency, very literally, transparency. Again, I mean, in this picture, the beings behind are very transparent, and here we have a representative of death because that's what it feels like. Whenever Ketu comes over this third dimensional virtual reality, it feels like it's killing us. But what's really happening is it's destroying our attachment to anything that is temporary, physical, part of the illusion. So you can't play the game. You can't enjoy the game. If Ketu is, let's say, conjunct with Venus, not all the time, but sometimes, it means the person won't be able to fall in love. They won't be able to get attached to somebody like that. They might love them and appreciate them, but there will be a detachment and they won't want anything from them. They might not even want that. So, wherever Ketu is, he destroys. It's like this lens of pure fifth dimensional energy that comes in and destroys that. Incredibly powerful what is happening. And I've done my astral connection to Ketu, and I found that Ketu is actually a very wonderful being, a very wonderful, loving being. And the beings that Ketu channels are the Pitris, which is translated as the ancestors. But this isn't accurate. It's not like your great-grandmother or your great-grandfather. It is the primordial beings of consciousness that created the gods themselves. So the gods themselves must obey the Pitris. These are the most powerful beings in the entire multiverse. And so Magha, the nakshatra that Ketu is going to pass over in 2026, this is the deity that is controlling this nakshatra is Ketu, the planet. I should say the planet that's controlling it is Ketu. The deity is actually the ancestor primordial gods of consciousness. So Magha represents, as I said, the pure power of the true justification of power, rulership. And so true rulership is only given by the Pitris, by these beings of light. And so since they have no selfish agenda, that means that the true king has to be somebody who has no personal agenda and is only interested in being a portal for spiritual power to what? Help human beings evolve, help their spiritual status. So it's very likely that during the last Satya Yuga, the golden age, when human beings were connected to spirit, 100% connected, it's very likely that the rulers were simply very powerful shamans who simply were portals for the power of the Pitris to help people, completely transparent. So that would have meant they didn't have anything, they didn't own anything, they didn't seek anything, they didn't seek any glory. They were only there as literally human portals for the higher dimensional beings. So why is that important? So Ketu is going backwards through the zodiac. So Magha has 4 padas, which means 4 feet, 4 sections. Normally, you go through this in a certain section, and so you start with pada 1, or the first section. Now that happens to be my ascendant. When I was born on pada 1 of Magha. And so in the first pada of any nakshatra, if a soul is born there, it means that soul actually lives with the deities or the deity of that nakshatra. It means that their identity, their essence is connected to someplace outside of this reality. So as it turns out, this explains a lot. If you've watched all I've said, it explains a lot. My ascendant is connected to the first pada of Magha, which means that my soul lives with them. That's where my essence really is. I'm not so much here as I am with them, and that's been the case through my whole life. Now that Ketu's coming over my own birth nakshatra, that's really going to start getting stronger. This is what the light beings have been telling me. That this is going to become, so this will be interesting to watch. So it makes perfect sense that at this time in my life, I start channeling who? The Pitris, the ETs, the light beings. So the second section, or the second pada, has to do with, let me see, it's backwards from what I have here. So it has to do with the mind. So if someone is born in the second pada of Magha, it means that their mind is with the Pitris, is with the light beings. If we go one step further, again backwards from this, the third pada means that their soul is connected to the Pitris. And if they're in the fourth section, it means that, what does it mean? It means that their prana, their chi, their energy is connected to the Pitris. So each one of these padas, if you know anything about this, if you want to find out how to best communicate with your ascendant power, it teaches you how to worship the universe, to channel the energies that you are most connected to. So, let me bring that up and I'll talk you through that in case you have any interest in that. And then we're going to talk about how this is going to shift the world, how we're going to shift into 5D. And this could be a physical shifting. I'm not making any predictions. I'm just looking at this saying this could be it. So In the first pada of any nakshatra, the person wants to live in the dharma of the deity. So what I mean by that is exactly what I teach. Now it explains why I teach what I teach, because dharma is your true soul path. So the person who lives in the first pada, their main objective is to live the truest path of their soul. And so that's why I've said this is the most important thing, because this is what my soul came here to do. It's how I get the closest to God, if you will, to the Pitris. If somebody is born in the second pada of any nakshatra, then they're going to follow artha, which has to do with enjoyment. And this has to do with the mind. So they will privately worship the deity. That's the best way, doing some kind of mental meditation, private worship of the god. For me, I actually have to transform myself physically. That's what I do. That's why I'm so into all of these completely physically transforming energy practices, because that's what my soul wants to do. It literally wants to become. That's why I talk about Taoists who train to become deities. And I talk about we are deities. And I even talk about how I've been shown that. Well, that is what my soul came here to do, was to become a deity. So people who are on the second pada of any nakshatra, their mind, they want to mentally, privately worship the deity with their mind. They want to gain wisdom from the deity. If they are born in the third pada, the third section of any nakshatra, then they want to resemble the deity. They want to look like, experience what it's like to be the deity on earth, and that is the soul. And this is yoga. So yoga doesn't mean stretching. Yoga means union. And so there are all different kinds of yoga. There's hatha yoga, kundalini yoga, there's mantra yoga, there's all kinds of yoga. But yoga just means being God on in a physical way. You're a physical being wanting to be like a demigod on earth. And so the soul wants to connect with the deity. In the fourth pada, any pada of any nakshatra, the best way for somebody to connect to the power of the deity that is lording over their incarnation is chanting. And chanting is about being part of a community. And so this has to do with the prana, with the physical energy. So to make it easier, the first pada is the physical body, the second pada is the mind, the third pada is the soul, and the fourth pada is energy. So, now that you understand that, we are going to watch Ketu go through these four padas of Magha, but they're going to go backwards. What does this mean? It means that it's as Ketu comes over each of the padas, this power of the Pitris, this power of destroying the third dimension, is going to be stimulating these four aspects of society, of human beings. So let's take a look at those. All right, so phase one is going to be the fourth pada, which is the prana, the energy. So starting in April, what's going to happen is Ketu is going to come over that, and people's energy are going, the energy of their body, their chi, their prana, their nervous system, is really going to get empowered. So you're going to see this a lot. People either are going to start flipping out energetically, or their body's going to start cleansing from an energetic perspective, or people are going to just go crazy after energy practices, qigong, meditation, yoga, meaning kundalini type yoga. They're going to go after these kinds of energy practices, and their energy is going to shift. So Ketu is going to come and is going to seek to shift people's energy into the power of the Pitris, the power of Magha, the power of the primordial ancestral beings that, even the gods must obey. Phase 2, this will be a spiritual shift. So this will then, of course, energy turns in, a lot of people do energy work and it's not necessarily spiritual, but it usually becomes spiritual. People do Qigong and for health reasons, and the next thing they know, they're thinking more about spiritual things. They become more spiritually attuned. So first, the energy, and then people's souls. People are going to start awakening on a soul level. This will be very interesting and very powerful. The third phase will be the mental shift. So once people start changing on a spiritual level, the way that they see the world is going to change. This is when people are going to realize, wait a minute, what is this money thing? Wait a minute, so money doesn't exist? I've been spending my life trying to get, what? It's just it's a made up concept? What do you, I've been spending all this time trying to get reputation. I've been going and trying to get degrees in colleges, and I've been trying to go and get respect and power, and the mind will start seeing through all of these intellectual concepts. So you can do this right now. Think about all the things that you think about in your life on a daily basis, and then ask yourself, how many of those things are actual real things? Is money real? Nope. Go try and hand a $10 bill to a dog. They will sniff it and eat it. They won't be able to go and buy anything with it. It doesn't have any value to them. It's not a real thing. So think about anything that you worry about in your life, and think about, if I gave this to a dog, would a dog appreciate it? If you give food to a dog, they're going to appreciate it. You give dog a toy, the dog will enjoy the toy. It's a real physical thing. You give the dog love, the dog enjoys love. Warmth. These are things that are real. But if we take pleasure of things that aren't actually real, they're just concepts, these things are going to be exposed. And the Pitris are going to go, what are you guys wasting your time on this stuff for? We want you to operate from true reality, from the spirit. And then the third, that's the third phase, is the mental shift. And then the fourth will be the physical shift. So the fourth phase, which is the first pada, it will mean a physical transformation. Now, this is assuming that if we want to just think about the possibility that perhaps the shift to 5D might happen in 2026. This is how it would be. And this would be over a very short period of time. This would just be within, between April of 2026 and December of 2026. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So 9 months. It's going to be a 4-phase shift within 9 months. So why am I saying this? Number one, because this is something I would love to see happen. So I'm open to the idea. I'm very open to it. And again, I'm not giving you a psychic prediction. I'm not channeling anything. I haven't been given anything like that. What I have been told, or at least what I perceive that I have been told, is that number one, that I'm going to be going home soon. Now, I don't know what that means. They haven't said specifically what that means. And having been told things like this in the past, I've come to find out it could mean something on a whole different level than I would, literally think of. But whatever that means, I'm going to be going home soon. And the second thing that they've been saying concurrently is that my power is going to increase, and these channelings and me being a portal for the ancestors, for the light beings, that is going to increase, and there's going to be a much larger impact of the work that I'm doing. I'm being conservative. You know how they are. So it could mean that these channelings might start taking off. Or it could just mean that I'm having an impact on the world, whether the world knows it or not. I don't know. Because, they live in a different dimension where, we just live on the surface of this video game. We don't see what's going on behind the scenes. So it could mean behind the scenes. It could mean for real, physically in this world. But I believe that we could have this. I believe it is a possibility if we choose to accept it, that come December of 2026, we might be able to shift out of this reality physically. I've also been told, this was a year or so ago, they said that people will think that you died. They didn't tell me what that meant either. Scared the crap out of me. But if I put all of these things together, if I just take the messages that I believe, that I've been, assuming I've interpreted the energy correctly, then what's going to happen with me personally is that my powers are going to increase. My powers of connecting and communicating and channeling the light beings is going to increase exponentially, and that I will be taken home. And I haven't been talked out of, when I go, what do you mean? Like physically am I going to shift? They don't tell me yes or no, but I haven't been talked out of it. I do feel that I'm being encouraged to look at this thing literally. So here's the thing about light beings. They talk to individuals. They don't talk to groups. So here's what I know. If they're talking to me this way, they're talking to other people this way, which means that this could be the time when people who are wanting to shift out of this world, this might be the time when it happens. And what that looks like, I don't know. Could it be an actual shift where, like they said, people poof, disappear out of this reality? Look, I know this is a real thing. I know that there are beings on this planet that do that. I know because I've experienced beings like Sasquatch, who I know shift in and out of our frequency. I know that the light beings do it because I've physically been in their presence when I can't see anybody. And they'll do things like, grab your shoulder or grab your hand or touch you places. And you know that a physical being is touching you, but you can't see them. And so I've captured some of this on audio and video, so I know that that's a real thing. And the thing is, if they can do it, so can we, right? We just have to make the decision to do it. So in order for that to happen, we would need to have a situation where there would be an energy that would facilitate a frequency shift. Now, if there is one planet and one deity, if you had to pick just one planet and one deity who would have the most power to create a frequency to shift out of this third dimensional physical reality that we live in, it would be Ketu and the Pitris. And this is what's happening. They're coming. I heard this too. Not too long ago, the light beings came and said, we're coming. We're coming. This is the time. Ketu is like a lens. It's a portal that destroys the third dimensional, the third dimensional veil. And this would be the time light beings can come directly into our reality, connect with us. Again, what's the 4 phases it's going to happen? It's going to first happen to our energy. Then it's going to happen to our spirituality. Then it's going to happen to our mind. Then it's going to happen to our physical bodies. I don't know. Again, I'm not making a prediction, but I'm very excited about this. So I am upping my game when it comes to channeling. So we are doing, tonight we're doing a live guided CE5 meditation, and maybe I'll channel, we'll see what happens. I'm going to try and bring ETs into my home and into your home. I will be doing more of these live channeling streams. You can watch that. I've got the channeled personal guidance from interdimensional ET light beings. You can go to channel.thunderwizard.com to have your own personal channeling session. We are doing the interdimensional mentorship. So that is at thunderwizard.com. I'll tell you exactly what that is. That's you meet with me a certain number of times per month based on your subscription. And it'll be a mentorship, but it won't be me mentoring you. The light beings will channel, I will channel them, and they will mentor you. They'll tell you, they'll be your teachers. Sometimes they defer to me and say, why don't you give your opinion, and I do. But I come into this, wanting to hear what they have to say for you. So we've got that, the interdimensional mentorship at thunderwizard.com. That's a specific subscription. Go look for that. And then we've got the live guided interdimensional meditations we still do every Wednesday. Those are the same. They're going into some very powerful directions. Again, here's the deal. Here's what I believe. I'm not making predictions. I'm just telling you my belief based on my experience. I believe that the solar flash has ended. I believe the solar flash began in December of 2022 and lasted up until just recently. And I believe now that is winding down. And I believe now the earth is starting to mold and to shift and to change. And that if there's going to be a final blast or flash, it's going to be sometime between now and 26, the end of 26. And we're definitely going to start seeing, whatever this earth split is, it's going to start happening now. And I believe that it's going to happen in these 4 phases. All right? There you go. Thank you so much, my friends. I love you all. I appreciate you. I'm very excited about what's coming. Listen, if you want to support the channel, watch the videos, do the live streams that I upload, comment, subscribe, do all of that. If you really want to help me while we're still in this money nonsense, then I really need you to step up and go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at one of the paid levels that works for you, or go to the shop and get whatever practice that works for you. You can get a channeling from me, my books, michaeldenney.org, and keep me in your meditations so that this channel will grow. And I'm really hoping to get more exposure to the world and share what I believe I'm being shown, and share this energy. So once we get 1%, all we need to do is get 1% of the population of the planet. If we can get 1% of the population of the planet, we will shift. All right, I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves. I'll see you very soon.